in our practice. Welcome, everyone. This is Recovery Dharma. My name is Julia. I'm one of the facilitators in this beautiful community, and I'd like to share with you today, to set the intention for our practice, a sentiment of metta. Metta is loving kindness. Loving kindness is one of the 4 qualities that we endeavor to truly cultivate in our practice. And so let's just take a minute to take that in. We are here to cultivate loving kindness toward ourselves. That is the intention of this practice. And when we can cultivate loving kindness toward ourselves, we by extension offer loving kindness to others. So I'm going to share with you this one. It's a bright green colors, these chartreuse colors of spring. And this one reads, "May I endeavor to clear the way for generations to come." May I endeavor to clear the way for generations to come. Friends, this is a hefty aspiration. And yet, what a meaningful approach to life in this moment. And let's just come into this moment. Imagine that you already possess everything you need to reflect on the past of your life. I can reflect on my past. I'm going to make this first person. I have all the tools I need to look back at my past and allow something to come forward in this present moment for me to explore, so that how I act in the future, and the future is right now, even in this moment, and now this moment, and this moment, and so on. This afternoon, my actions can be imbued with a little bit more loving kindness to clear the way for someone else. And maybe with that clarity, that individual has a moment of pause, can come into the present moment. Something very subtle can overcome them to think about their life, their moment, their future, and so on. That's how this works. So what we're going to do today in our practice is we're going to bring forward the 3rd noble truth in Buddhism, which is there is harmony. Harmony is the experience of all of our discomforts, all of our comforts coming together in peace. Harmony. And so by understanding the 1st and 2nd noble truth, that there is discomfort in our lives, there's also comfort, and there are conditions to be understood, creating discomfort and comfort in my life. The more I understand those conditions, the way I experience discomfort and react to it, the way I experience comfort and react to it, the more I understand myself in that way, the more grounded I become, the more harmonious I am, the more peaceful I am as a living, breathing being. And by extension, I create the conditions for others to experience peace and harmony too. So that's what we're going to do today. And it's so simple, this practice. It's so simple that the thinking mind might come forward with suspicious thoughts like, well, it can't be that simple. Or maybe it's, well, I need it to happen faster than how it's happening. I should be farther along than I am. I've been practicing this for a couple of years. Why am I still reactive? Why do I still return to habit energy? Maybe your thinking mind is like, well, yeah, that's easy for Julia to say. She's a practitioner, but I'm not like her yet. That's comparative mind. Today, we're going to invite the mind to be with us, but we're going to invite the mind as an observer of that mind rather than a slave to the mind, rather than being attached to the mind as a dictator, dictating our actions. I think this, which causes me to feel something, which then causes me to react in some way. That's my sort of standard pattern of habit energy. I'll give you a great example. That just happened last night, as a matter of fact. Wind comes howling through. I had all these thoughts of, oh God, the trees are going to knock down some branches and I'm going to have a mess and I'm going to have to call the insurance company and I'm going to have to call an arborist and rum, 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 rum. And the next thing I know, I'm super anxious, right? And in that anxiety and in those thoughts, guess what? I got up and I looked out the window and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, as if I'm going to call the insurance company then, as if I'm going to do anything about the situation. But my thought was such a strong driver that I really couldn't stop myself. I chose not to stop myself. So even with years and years and years of practice, I can be dictated by my thoughts and emotions. So today, in this space where I am crafting some ease, some openness, I can now create a space to simply observe my mind rather than be controlled by it. And remember, so much of the motivation, certainly my motivation with my thoughts and thinking about it and feeling things and acting on those feelings and thoughts, is me kind of groping and grasping for control of something that's totally outside of my control. But because I'm efforting with my thoughts and I'm efforting to identify my feelings and I'm efforting to move my body, I feel like I'm doing something. And that doing makes me feel like I'm controlling something. And that controlling something makes me feel a little less upended regarding the things I really can't control. In other words, I'm simply being a human being. So today, let's observe that in more detail and let's observe it with loving kindness, gentility, curiosity. That's the practice. If it's available to you, close your eyes. And if it isn't, if closing your eyes is too stirring, then simply turn the gaze downward. Find something beautiful to look at. If you're sitting, sit nice and tall. Strong, straight back, soft belly. If you're lying down, I would encourage you to lie down in a way that your hands and your arms are not resting on the belly, but resting beside the body, so that your hands are on the ground, another access point to being grounded. You don't need to flatten your hands. Just allow the natural shape of the hands to be cupped a little bit. That's how the hand likes to be in a resting posture. But just bring your attention and your awareness to your fingertips and maybe the bottom palm of the hand making contact with the ground or a couch or the bed. And breathe. Breathe in such a way that your full attention is aware of air entering through the nostrils or through your mouth. And with your full concentrated attention, notice how the air is exiting the body. And see in the next few moments of silent breathing if you can identify and observe the belly and the core of the body expanding on the inhalation with the air entering through the nostrils or the mouth. And on the exhalation, see if you can observe the contracting body, core body, with the air coming out. And you might naturally slow the breath down so you can observe this rhythm, breathing in, breathing out. Observing, breathing in, observing, breathing out. Let's just do that for a few moments. Don't worry about the mind. The mind's going to do what the mind's going to do. You are simply here with your beautiful bodies, your miraculous breathing bodies, observing how your body needs to breathe in these next few moments. Invite this to be perfect and enjoy this practice. Friends, for the remainder of our practice, I'd like to share with you an instrument of peace called sun pause. A sun pause is a practice that we employ in our Sate Seva mindfulness practices. And I created this instrument of peace because I'm enormously inspired by the relationship of the earth, and by extension, me, and the sun, our life-giving star, 93 million miles away, whose radiance and whose essence of warmth takes 8 minutes to travel 93 million miles. So from the source of the star to the earth, that light requires 8 minutes. Now, 8 minutes, fascinatingly and paradoxically, is both no time at all and yet a long time. So today, we're going to practice for 8 minutes, simply under the warm radiance of the sun. Wherever you are in the world, even if it's a cloudy day, the sun is shining, this life giving force. And all we have to do is receive it and enjoy it and shelter underneath it, breathing. And should any thoughts arise in the mind, because that's what the mind does, that's beautiful and it's okay. However, we're going to remind the mind that we're not entertaining it for these 8 minutes. So all we're going to do is observe the mind when it starts to come forward with a thought. We can simply remind it, sun pause, no thinking, or sun pause, I'm thinking, and keep breathing. Just remind yourself that for 8 minutes, we are pausing under the beautiful life force of the sun, breathing in, breathing out. Enjoy this practice. Friends, in the last couple of minutes of this practice, I invite you to play with the body a little bit. And if you're sitting, I encourage you to slump the body ever so gently. Just sit heavier in the bottom, in your bottom. Curve your spine in sort of a C shape, sort of hunched over ever so slightly. Just kind of blob for a moment and breathe. And then on the next inhalation, observe the body sitting a little bit taller. So as you inhale, grow the body upright, strong spine, soft belly, heart lifted, shoulders down and back, and stay tall, noble. And exhale. Noble posture for the third noble truth. There is harmony, working with the body, working with the mind, working with our emotions and our stories and thoughts, being able to observe what's happening in the privacy of one's own mind with curiosity and spaciousness, freedom, really, allowing the mind to do what it's doing without reacting to it. And cultivating an energy, a spirit, if you will, that's friendly, easygoing, lighthearted, no judgment, no comparative mind, just, look at that thought. There's that thought. Not going to attach to you today, just going to observe and breathe. And as I said, 8 minutes is a long time, and it's no time. But as we're learning and as we're beginning to integrate these practices into our lives, there's no need to add any pressure to the practice. So, for instance, if you go in your day and all you can afford is a single cycle of breath, breathing in and out, invite that to be perfect. If your sun pause lasts only a minute, that's a perfect sun pause. Anytime you can gift yourself the awareness of your whole being in this precious moment is a moment of peacemaking. And that, my friends, is a moment of healing. And that is how we clear the way for generations to come. Email me with any questions or concerns. If you are inclined to make a dana offering, there are many ways to do that. And one of the things that you can do in terms of dana is you can go to our tokens of mindfulness, and there we have stickers and prayer flags and t-shirts. So it's like the whole soul center vibe that you can have. In fact, let me show you our beautiful prayer flags, and I encourage you to check them out because there's a great story for them. I had them made by a third generation silk screening family in Nepal. So these are the reimagined Four Noble Truths. So the first noble truth is there is discomfort. There are conditions to my discomfort. This is the Soul Center logo. There is harmony when I understand the conditions of my discomfort. And of course, in order to get there, I must practice. Aren't they sweet? So, this is a wonderful way to support this community. You can order some prayer flags. And if you do, you'll get a really long, rambly letter from me. It's kind of like a stream of consciousness. I just write about, you'll join me on my farm and I'll write a little letter to you. All right. I think that's it. Let's go ahead, friends, and end our practice with a dedication of merit. And let me invite you to come back to the body and sit in a noble posture. Strong back, soft belly, shoulders down and back, heart slightly lifted. Breathing in, breathing out. And maybe you're driving along, just drive, a little bit more noble, sitting in the driver's seat. For anyone who's in the bathtub, sit up just a moment, enjoy the bubbles. For anybody who might be having a walk with a friend or a pet, just stand a little bit taller as you move this body temple, breathing in, breathing out. There's a wonderful idea, a spiritual awareness that I'd like to share as a dedication today, and that is that human beings have evolved such that we have this consciousness where our consciousness is able to contemplate consciousness. It's really rather amazing. So, for instance, one of the things that my consciousness observes in the summertime is something called heliotropism, which is the consciousness of sunflowers and their ability to turn and follow the arc of the sun. All living forms have a consciousness. Whether they can contemplate that consciousness or not is an interesting question. Human beings can. And so to be able to carve and craft and curate a life where we can contemplate our own consciousness, which is comprised of our bodies, our emotions, our thoughts, and our stories, to just take a moment to observe these things so that we're not just haplessly going along the day, mindlessly reacting from one thing to the next, carried away by habit energy. And we insert pauses of awareness throughout the day to come into this precious moment, to observe, and to recognize that we have the power right within our grasp, within this moment, to change the way for generations to come. That is how we can live our lives. That is how we bring meaning to this life. We bring understanding and wisdom. We share that beauty. We put it onto the earth. What a gift we will all leave behind. And it all starts in this moment. Thank you for bringing yourselves to this moment to practice. May you go into your day with a shy smile and a sparkle in your eyes. May you know that your presence will probably change someone's day. I hope to see you again, maybe even tomorrow. Until then, namaste.